Have you ever felt burning in your chest, a sour taste in your throat, and then later a pounding head that made you wonder, can GERD cause headaches? That question catches a lot of people because reflux and headaches seem like two completely different problems. One happens in the chest and throat, the other feels like it belongs to the head. But the connection is not always so simple. Who notices this most? Often people whose reflux flares after big meals, late-night eating, stress, or lying down too soon. What makes it confusing is that the headache may show up after the reflux, during a bad night of symptoms, or the next morning when you feel worn out. When does it hit hardest? Usually after reflux-heavy evenings, poor sleep, or days full of food and lifestyle triggers. Where does the discomfort show up? In the chest, throat, upper belly, temples, forehead, or behind the eyes. Why does this happen? Sometimes because reflux and headache patterns overlap. How do you tell if they are truly connected? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know what GERD can explain, what it usually cannot, and when not to ignore the warning signs. Before we answer the headache part, let's make sure the reflux part is clear. What is GERD? GERD stands for gastroesophageal reflux disease. It happens when stomach contents repeatedly flow back into the esophagus and start causing bothersome symptoms or complications. Who usually notices it? People who deal with frequent heartburn, sour liquid coming up into the throat, chest discomfort, upper belly discomfort, or a lump in the throat feeling. Some people also notice cough, hoarseness, or worse symptoms at night. When does GERD usually flare? Often after eating, when bending over, or when lying down too soon after meals. Where is the discomfort usually felt? In the chest, throat, or upper stomach, not mainly in the head. Why does that matter? Because headache is not one of the classic headline symptoms of GERD. How does that help you? It tells you right away that if headaches are part of the story, you may be dealing with an indirect effect, a shared trigger pattern, or even a separate headache condition happening at the same time. That small distinction changes everything. Now let's get to the real question. Can GERD actually cause headaches? The most careful answer is maybe indirectly, and sometimes they may simply occur together. Who should pay attention to this? People who notice head pain during reflux flares, people with migraine patterns, or people whose symptoms get worse after a bad night of reflux. What does current research suggest? There seems to be an association between GERD and migraine in some patients, but researchers still have not fully proven a direct cause and effect relationship. When does the connection feel strongest? Often when reflux disrupts sleep, when certain food or lifestyle triggers are stacked together, or when the body is already under stress. Where does the headache usually show up? That depends on the person, but many describe temples, forehead, behind the eyes, or one-sided head pain if migraine is involved. Why might they overlap? Think of sleep disruption, shared triggers, and the gut-brain connection rather than a simple acid rises and causes head pain explanation. How should you think about it? As a clue, not a final diagnosis. The pattern matters more than the assumption. This is where viewers usually say, "That sounds exactly like me." Who tends to feel the GERD headache link most strongly? People who eat late, lie down too soon, sleep poorly, or already deal with migraine or tension headaches. What makes the connection feel so convincing? A reflux flare at night, broken sleep, then waking up tired, foggy, and headachy. When do symptoms often stack together? After big meals, alcohol, certain trigger foods, stressful days or nights when reflux keeps waking you up. Where do you notice it? In the chest and throat first, then later in the head, temples, eyes, or neck. Why does it feel like GERD caused the headache? Because the timing is so close, but timing alone does not always prove one caused the other. How should you use that information? Look for repeatable patterns. If the same meals, late nights, and bad sleep keep leading to both reflux and headache, that is useful information to track. The goal is not to panic. The goal is to notice your body's routine before the routine keeps hurting you. So how do you tell whether this is reflux-related discomfort, migraine, or something more serious? Start with 5W1H. Who gets the pain and what else do they feel? What comes first? Burning chest, sour taste, and throat symptoms, or a throbbing head with nausea and light sensitivity? When does it begin after meals? When lying down or during a classic headache attack pattern? Where is the pain strongest? In the chest and throat with later head discomfort, or mainly in one side of the head behind the eye, or all over the forehead? Why does this matter? Because migraine has its own signature. How do you avoid guessing wrong? Track whether the headache improves when reflux triggers are controlled, but do not force everything into the GERD box. If you have severe or unusual chest pain and you are not sure it is heartburn, get urgent help. And if your headache is sudden, extreme, or comes with confusion, weakness, trouble speaking, or vision changes, that is not a wait-and-see moment. If you keep noticing reflux and headache together, what can actually help? Who should start paying closer attention? Anyone with repeated heartburn, regurgitation, nighttime reflux, plus recurring headaches that seem to follow the same pattern. What are the first smart steps? Eat earlier in the evening, avoid lying down for a few hours after meals, notice foods and drinks that make symptoms worse, and aim for better sleep. If you are overweight, even modest weight loss may help reflux symptoms. When should you stop trying random fixes and get evaluated? When symptoms keep returning, disrupt sleep, affect work, or make you rely on over-the-counter remedies all the time. Where do you start? Usually with a doctor or qualified clinician who can look at both the reflux side and the headache side. Why is tracking important? Because treatment gets easier when you know whether the pattern is meals, night symptoms, stress, migraine features, or something else. How do you make the appointment more useful? Bring a simple diary with meal times, sleep, reflux episodes, headache timing, and what seemed to trigger each flare. So, can GERD cause headaches? The best honest answer is this. GERD is not a classic headache disorder, but in some people it can be part of a bigger pattern involving poor sleep, shared triggers, or overlap with migraine. Who should remember that most? Anyone whose head pain seems to show up around reflux flares, late-night eating, or rough nights of sleep. What should you do next? Watch the pattern instead of guessing. When should you seek urgent help? If you have severe chest pain and you are not sure it is heartburn, trouble swallowing, vomiting blood, black tarry stools, or a sudden severe headache with confusion, weakness, trouble speaking, or vision changes. Where does real progress begin? With the right diagnosis, not with forcing every symptom into one explanation. Why does that matter? Because reflux, migraine, and serious conditions can overlap in ways that look similar at first. How do you move forward? One clear step at a time, with good tracking and proper care. This video is for education only and is not a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. If you found it helpful, subscribe and leave a comment or suggestion for the next video.